Friday. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the stream here. I certainly hope you guys are doing great, because I am doing pretty good. You might be asking yourself, what in the world am I doing? It's Wednesday. I don't stream on Wednesday, but you'd be incorrect, at least for this week. So I started my new job on Monday, and it's going really well so far. I've worked two solid days so far. However, I actually get 2 days off. Well, I only work 3 days a week, so that kind of makes it kind of nice because I can still stream during the week, which is pretty neat to see. So right now it's currently kind of schedules Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, so I'll be able to stream Wednesday and Friday. And there might be a couple days I might have to work during the morning on those days, but I should be able to still do a 1 o'clock stream on both days, no matter what, even if I work those mornings. If I have to work a little later, it might have to push back just a tiny bit, but I should be just fine to do that. So, hopefully for, maybe the next probably 16 weeks, if I continue to do this, it'll probably be going to 2 days a week at least. I might throw in a third, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday. Don't quite know yet, but we'll give it a look here. But today, we are actually going to be playing some Planet Coaster. Usually it's on Tuesdays, but we had to move it to Wednesdays. And also this week I'll be streaming on Friday, probably doing some iRacing. Volusia Speed Park, I believe. My camera's still not working today. I moved it because of the steering wheel that we used on Friday, which I'm getting a lot better with. And so I wanted to kind of show off to you guys. I think it's called Volusia Speedway. It's out in Florida. It's got a big gator on the logo. So I think that'll be fun to try on Friday. But today we'll be back as a Planet Coaster. I've actually been playing a little bit. I've actually been playing for about the past hour or so, give or take. So I've been trying to get an idea of what this new next section of the park will be. I'm laying out a few rides, stuff like that, and you'll see what I've been doing. So let's pop over to the game. And yes, I actually did remember to actually add this to the correct camera. As you can see that there is some smaller bits down here, and then there's one large bit down or back here. What this is, so this is going to be kind of when we're getting into the 90s and maybe even early 2000s in this section. So I wanted to at least create a coaster because we only created one coaster in there in the first one, and that was Shockwave, which is a pretty good coaster. But, I think that would probably be built in maybe the early 80s, like 84, 85, or 83, 84, right around in there. And they really didn't build a big coaster after that. But coming out in the late 80s about mid-80s, about 84, 85, was the swinging coasters, at least from Aerodynamics. And the first one really kind of in America was the Bat, which is at Kings Island. And it was great, but there was one problem. It just didn't work. It had some issues with where the brakes were at, and it would just snap the shocks that kind of helped the car stay stable. It would just snap those off rather often. So, that being said, I did design this one. Right now, kind of temporary name, I've called it the Phoenix, because I think it's a pretty neat name. It's a pretty good coaster. It's not my best one in the world, but it works. It's kind of, I don't know if I have stats on this one yet. Let's take a look here. It's not great. Nausea rating's good because it's under 1, which is a miracle, because usually my roller coasters usually have a pretty good puke factor. But there's some other rides I wanted to include in here as well. The Viking ship, it's one of my mom's favorites, and I always try to at least put one in the park every time. So that's kind of the idea, at least. So I put this one, I think it looks great right on the lakeside here. We're actually going to probably start there today, because that's probably the only one I actually have planned to go there. But I also wanted to put an antique car ride in, because they always seem to be very popular. My mom's a big fan of them. I actually... Funny enough, the last time I went to Kings Island, they had just opened one of these the year before, and I hadn't rode it yet, so me and my mom actually rode it together because she wanted to drive and see how they were. So that's what I probably have an idea for this area as well. I'll tell you about that here in a second. I was trying out some other flat rides like this one. This one actually apparently came out in the early 90s as well. There might be I might put another ride over here. Maybe a smaller one, or I might make this more servicing area, things like a restaurant, and there probably will be a restroom inside of the gondola station here, and things like that. So, kind of what we've got planned out so far. I'm thinking I actually have an idea for over here as well. This project would probably be our big one. Think Thunder Falls, but about 10 times longer, I think. Well, I could be wrong. But it's a really neat idea. Kind of gives the idea, or kind of gives me the idea. It took me a while to kind of come up with this idea. My dad helped me a little bit when we were kind of talking it out. But I'll kind of tell you what I have planned so far. So, I wanted to have the swing coaster in the back here. I think that makes a really good backdrop for the rest of this section here. So if you really just want to kind of, have a drone out here to take a camera with, or if you're on a boat out here, I think that'd be a great shot. I think this whole area is going to be filled with the car ride, but I don't plan on making this a really dense car ride. Essentially, what I want to do is actually have inroads into here, to where people can actually. I'm thinking about making this place like a really nice garden area. I mean, it's going to be a car ride as well, but along with the car ride, you're going to be able to walk through some nice gardens, stuff like that. Have a nice relaxing area here, and I think that'll look really nice. Now I do, this flat ride, I don't know if it's going to stay here or not. I do want to put at least probably one more ride, either this one or maybe one over here. Don't quite know yet. But the other one, I did want to build a coaster on stream as well, and I figured the easiest one to build would probably be Vekoma Boomerang. So I've got the station plot down here. I've kind of decided to actually put the ends of the tracks on this side, and so you'll actually come out here and do your whatever you want to call it. I always call it the Batwing element, and then probably do a loop over here, and then up, and then back through the ride. So if you know what a Vekoma Boomerang is, you kind of know they're very cheap usually, and they're everywhere. So I figured, our park would probably have one too. So, it's okay. And I think going over the water adds just a little bit of excitement, maybe a little bit of fear as well. So I think that'll work. Now, while I was upstairs, this station actually is open. I didn't know if that was actually opened or not. So this is I'm going to actually start naming these, because we actually have names for the sections now. So this is that Steam just popped up. I don't know why it did that. Boardwalk station. So there's the boardwalk station. This is going to be the 90s section. I don't know what I'm going to call it quite yet, but this will be the 90s station. And there we go. So there we have all of that kind of worked, or we have that named. I didn't know if the station was open, because I very rarely see any people over here. Unless I'm trying to think if I see anything, because people aren't getting off, and that kind of surprises me, because I figured people would want to get off, and I don't have the ride open yet over here, but I figured they would. But hey, maybe that's just me thinking. So today I really wanted to kind of focus on the lakefront here. I want to get at least the wall. I'll bring it all the way down to here, around the Viking ship, and then probably all the way down, at least probably to here, because I don't know how we're going to do the boomerang, if we're going to put that over, like if we're going to put wall up here or something like that. We'll see. Let me grab a drink real quick. I did actually finally get original sweet tea back, which is amazing. If you remember from a couple streams ago, it was actually National Iced Tea Day or something like that. And I ordered a bunch of tea on that day because I was out. So, that being said, let's go ahead and start working on this boardwalk here. Might take a second for it to load, because there is a lot of pieces in this part here. Alright, so let's go ahead and... Really, I just want this part here, because I've built this to be able to be copied pretty well. We kind of just duplicate it on down like this. Like so. Well, maybe. It doesn't want to line up now. That would be my luck. You know what? I wonder if it's because of the wooden wall, or the wooden kind of slats there. Go ahead and try to do it without the wood. See if maybe that's it. So I can always add that in later, or something like that. Not really. I think it's just at an angle, and it doesn't like me like that. So, let's just go ahead and continue on. Just try to line it up as best we can. And continue on. But yeah, so unfortunately, I had to kind of move some streams around, the streams around, which, yeah, I figured I would starting this new job, but, I think I think, at least I still have the ability to stream. And that's kind of the key thing is I didn't want to lose the, if I had, if I had to work, all 5 days a week, I would do it. It would kind of stink because I've been doing this now for just over actually it was 6 months yesterday, I believe. So unfortunately, if we did have a Tuesday stream, we would have been 6 months yesterday. So, it's something that I've really enjoyed doing for the past 6 months, and hopefully I can make it to a full year. That's kind of at least the goal, and I would like to get before the end of the year, which end of the actual real year, not just me streaming. I'd like to get to the 50 follower goal. It might be a little harder to do with only 2 streams a week, but I think, especially with keeping Planet Coaster on right now, Mech Warrior will come back. I'm just really kind of frustrated with the game, and I want to play some iRacing as well. So that will come back to the channel eventually. It might be a week or two, but I will. I want to try to figure out what I've been doing wrong in that game, and then try to fix it. So, on that note, we'll continue on down this way here. This is pretty simple to duplicate. That was kind of glad because this is that's something I was thinking I'm actually putting all the way around the lake shore here, just to actually kind of make it look like they kind of planned this, and also make it look like an artificial lake, but with the river, kind of the small river delta on the other side of the lake, kind of makes it look that looks a little artificial, but I think it looks really nice as well. And this would also make sense if they were trying to use this as a flood prevention sort of thing. I realized that this is not aligned with this Viking ship. Like if you put a huge wall up like this and then keep it maintained and whatever, it would make sense if they were trying to use this as a flood protection. To stop any more or any floods happening again. It kind of makes sense. Now let's crank it around this way here. And, it would take a lot. This would be a huge project to do, but, if this flood was a part of a larger disaster, like if it flooded also the town there, and, there very well could be, if they put forth this measure, it's like, hey, we want to add some better protection to the lake and stuff like that, people might be all for it then. So, may not have been the worst idea if something like that were, if something like that happened, I guess. But I think with this one, I'm going to actually, instead of doing the wood around the ride, I'm going to probably do probably the pavement, just to add, make it look like a concrete pier in the middle of the lake. Kind of the idea, at least. So I'm not too fussy if it's if it sticks, or if it exactly lines up like that. I think I might be okay with that. And then we'll continue on this way. Probably do one more set of those. Probably actually need to do one more, actually. Like that. Let's duplicate that. Let's see how close this gets. It's a little too close. No, I think that'll work. It's going to realign this a little bit better. And we'll go ahead and make one on this shore here. Yeah, I think that'll work best. It's hilarious because I built this wall right. I think this was one of the first things I built in this park, And I'm like, oh, I'll probably change it later and change it up as we go. But I don't know. As I got building more and more, I kind of like I started really liking it and how it's looking and how it's shaped and things like that. So I don't know, it looks worn, like it looks strong, but it still looks worn, especially with the wood, the different colors, and kind of the paint splotches on it. I mean, I really like how that looks. So there is that part of the wall done. It really kind of helps cleans up the shore a lot, and it does kind of hide the terrain mistakes that I can't fix for some reason. But you know, fair enough. So let's go in here and get the pavement. It's gonna be this one. Notice we're using a lot of concrete and stuff like this, and it kind of makes sense, especially with a pier like this. You know, you just want something solid, because if you're out in the middle of the water and something like this breaks, that would not look great on either your park or yourself. So I don't mind going through here and adding a few, or just adding this, you know, kind of larger slab of concrete, but it is somewhat decorated already with kind of the border of the wall around it. So you wouldn't see like this huge slab of concrete, but you know what we could even do. You know, it just, you know, we'll try it here in just a moment once I get all this laid in here. I'll probably do one more maybe there. All right, let's take a look here. I want to try. I probably should put this in a group. Love to save at the most inopportune times. It's hilarious. Alright, so there's just 6 pieces there. We'll add that and edit it. I'm kind of curious if I could actually make this look like we tried to make it look like water. What I mean, like, just make it like a blue or something like that. That looks cheesy, and I like it. And it is the 90s, you gotta remember. Maybe something like that. It's like a faded blue. I think that would work. Alright, let's go ahead and start moving this across. And we'll go ahead and grab all this. And just keep duplicating it across here. Now this ride probably wouldn't be themed very well, just because, you know, it's a pirate ship. And even the one at Kings Island that, you know, I ride quite a bit, even that's not very themed. It's called Viking's Fury, but it's also an Oktoberfest, so it's not the most ideal place for a Viking ship. But you know, it is what it is. Alrighty, so there is that. I gotta figure out how in the world I gotta incorporate this concrete pad into the rest of the park. Do I just go ahead, hold on, let me go ahead and duplicate this, and let's repaint it to like the normal, you know, color, I guess. Like this nice gray color there for concrete. I mean, concrete can be painted, so it's not like every concrete out there is going to be this gray color, but, you know. Let's see, something like that. Does it stick through the wall at all? It does. Well, poop. Alright, let's fix as much as we can here. Something like that. Alright, so I got a feeling what I would do is probably run this concrete all the way down to here. Because that's a... let's see here, what color is that? It's like a little bit of a more, it has a little more red or either a little more brown in it. So let's do that for this, and I'll just extend, we'll give it a try. We'll extend the concrete all the way down this way. Like so. That'll work. That, and slide this around. I think that should line up. I'll fix, you know, the little issues we have here and there once I come back with the second part of this. What I'm kind of concerned about, though, let's see how this is how well this is going to line up with the other part we already put down here. I don't think I could have asked for a better height than that. That's pretty good. I'll have to fix this area up just a little bit with some concrete. Maybe this is the point where maybe they decided that maybe wood boarding was not the greatest idea in the world, and so they decided to pour it over. Kind of essentially, the boards are still underneath there, but they just kind of put a piece of wood underneath it and some supports, and they just poured concrete over it. I don't see why you couldn't do that, but you know, maybe that's just me. Let's see here. Path kind of S-curves, which is not ideal for something that's this big with, you know, I kind of fine-tune it a little bit, but still, I might show a little more grass than I'd like it to. Let's see here. Something like that, maybe. To rotate it in just a tiny bit more. And like that. I think now we can kind of just duplicate this down. Like this. And I you know, to be honest with you, I don't see why people couldn't walk up here and just enjoy the lakeside, stuff like that. So I don't know, but I could be wrong. Right, like that, and like that. Yeah, there we go. I think. Do I have a little grass sticking out here? No, but it kind of makes a dip there. That's really odd. We might have to go fix that really quick because I don't like how that looks. Because I mean, the rest is, you know, it looks great there, it looks great on the end there, but I think we need to smooth all this out. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. Ever tell you guys I'm not great with the terrain tool? I'll be honest with you. If we flatten this to the foundation, though, it should bring it right up to the edge of that concrete. And that looks a lot better now. Gonna flatten the rest of this area out just in case. All right, let's get this. Let's see what was some stew. This one. It's like it's the same width too, so should be good there. We got the S curve back in. Let's take away this pass so it doesn't want to snap to it, and then I'm gonna cut this down. I think we use the 4 meter for this corner here, and like so. All right. That looks a lot better. It's not perfect still because there's a few places of where the grass kind of cuts through still, but yeah, I think for the most part, I think we're good. I'm good with that. You know, it's not perfect, but once again, we probably would you know, if this is an older section of the park, we're only talking what 25, maybe 30 years old now. It's a bit of an odd thing, but yeah, that's about how old this section would be. So, next thing we need to work on is the queue line for this ride. I want to get that in first before we really do any more concreting because I don't know where the path is going to go on this ride. For the simple fact that you got all this, and I don't know how the path's going to like it. Nor do I know how the terrain or how the ride, how much the ride's going to let me kind of move it or move the terrain around it. So this might be a fun one to put this queue line in because it's going to have to be like elevated and stuff like that too. So I might have to come back through and fix this eventually. But we'll give it a try first and see what we can do. You know, a blue path might be kind of neat to see there. Let's see here. Let's smooth the terrain out here as well. Just see if we can maybe get the path at least started. Kind of the first issue is getting a path started here. Ooh, that's on a slope, isn't it? Not really as bad as I thought it would be. Alright, now, let's go ahead and... First off, make the terrain here. I'm going to smooth or flatten this to probably where this path is to hopefully get rid of that little bump there. Hopefully, I can just bring... Oop, that's not what I wanted. Keep bringing this path down this way here. How long of a line do I want is kind of the other question. I mean, I don't really want to cattle pin it at all because... I mean, while this is a neat ride, I just don't think there's a huge... Like, there'd be a huge line for it. Usually, even the ones I go on a pretty quiet day, there can be hardly any wait for it. So, at least we can push the terrain back to the path there. You know what? Alright, since we have this, let's try bringing the concrete out a bit more. Kind of bouncing back and forth between a couple things, but that's how I build stuff. It's, to me, it's a little bit easier because it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. If you ever are big into puzzles, it's kind of how I work a park like this. Is like, all right, I can get this section done, but if I can get this section done, I can kind of like I know where the boundaries for this are and kind of work my way through there until I get a complete section. And if you have been here this entire time, I do appreciate that as well. You got to see how Thunder Lake came to be and everything like that, and saw how the 80 section turned from a field to that couple of rides and a couple of or at least one restaurant, and maybe even like a show place for our band as well. So that's pretty neat. So I think we'll bring at least the blue concrete around like this, have it meet up with this one over here. We can kind of make sure this is kind of parallel with this one. Slide that over like so. Might have to do a little bit of work on that, but we'll fix that here momentarily. That'll work for that. I think we just concrete this entire area in like this. I might be able to fix that so the gray doesn't show through at least. Well, there we go. And we'll keep on moving this over, and then we don't have to worry about trying to fill in that little crater there because it just gets covered up by concrete. Like that. Alright, I think it gives me a good solid base for the ride then. The only thing is I don't like how it has the outline there. Is there any way we can get rid of that outline? Maybe this. If I move it up and down, or up or down, we can maybe do something with it. Not really. Alright, well, that's not ideal. I might just have to make this part of the scenery then. You know, the old adage is if you can't cover it up, make it a feature kind of thing. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I can try to do to make it look a little bit nicer. Let's go ahead and actually add railing to the path. I know this seems a little backwards maybe, but if I can add some railing on ground path, that's what I want. And that's not going to help me at all, because I think that just added these little anchor points, which would be great if we were building a dock, but we're not. We're building a ride. I mean, it's a nautical themed ride, but you know, it's not ideal. Although it probably won't be too hard to actually do the railing here, because really we only have to do the front of the ride, so it's a little bit easier that way. So let's rotate this to match the path here. I'm just gonna bring it forward and just slightly up. See, okay, it's I'm okay with not even elevating it. So I think that will be okay. I'm still not a big fan of having that queue all the way, or this little snaking path all the way around. However, I think we can kind of spruce this up a little bit, and at least make this somewhat nicer. Well, I think I'm going to get rid of this tea bag really quick. Well, I do like strong tea. This is it's getting a little too strong on that one. It's still good tea though, so. Get rid of that. Also need to come up with some more ride names too, because while I mentioned this, I actually forgot to put any more ride signs up besides Shockwaves. We have those 3 rides over in front of Thunder Falls that we still need to do. So, kind of stinks. Let's see here. I think we need to do at least some sort of wood fence here. I don't know if I want to do this like a custom fence here, or do I want to do just kind of a bog standard, normal fence they have in the game. I mean, honestly, we probably should do a custom one, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, how I want to do this, I have no idea, because I could do something like this, where it goes kind of the wood planks that are kind of. I guess I could do something like this, where I kind of bring it down to there. Let's do one more. By the way, I am totally eyeballing this because that's probably what they would do in a real park like this. And we'll do something like that. We'll duplicate it. Rotate this around like that. And there we go. So this is kind of what I mean. I've seen them do a lot of fencing like this, where they'll just make a normal, like just a picket fence, or not picket fence, but just a normal like wooden fence like this. And then just take a circular saw and just start cutting away at these. And I mean, it makes a really neat design if you do it correctly. So let's go ahead though. I want that piece there. I want this piece though. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit shorter. Like that. And then if we just take that piece off, duplicate this, we should be able just to repeat this pattern pretty easily. And to be honest with you, we could cover up this a little bit more if we turned it here. See what that will give us. Not quite what I want. There we go. I think that'll work. Now, this is going to be the hard one because I got to turn multiple ones into a nice corner for this side here. But we can do it. I have faith in us. We can do it. So let's go ahead and just line it up like we would. On further inspection, why don't I just do this? So I'll do that. I'll make these 3 at a 45-degree angle. And slide it in place here. Like that. And that will rotate this one 90 degrees. And like that. Yeah, I think that works out pretty well. It's not like the most perfect one in the world, but I think it works out pretty well. So let's go ahead and get this duplicated. So once we get this one duplicated, it should go pretty quick because I can just copy and paste down the line there. All right, and let's do something like that. So I'm trying to incorporate part of this into the fence here, and so far it seems to work out pretty well. It should work there, and then I want to do this. And we'll incorporate it into the gate as well. We'll do one more like that. That's the same height. Something like that. I realize that this got a little bit of a gap over here. Let's slide that there. So yeah, I think something like that. I mean, fair enough, it's just going to be in front here to help keep people out of the ride itself. But I think that'll work. Now, I do want to probably... Do I want to bring it all the way out and then back in? I guess I could. So that means if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to grab all these. You know what? First, I want to start out with these. And something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to copy this kind of pattern on this side, but I'm going to do it at a 90-degree angle so that we can have it out or going out. I know it's not a perfect angle. Let's see if we can fix it just a little bit here. Something like that. There we go. That'll work. And I think we can just duplicate everything like this. Rotate it 90 degrees, and then we should have our next, at least down to the kind of the trough. And then eyes starting to itch a little bit. That's not good. Let's do this and rotate it again 90 degrees. And that will be our other side. But two things: need to delete that one because we already have it, and second of all, I need to pull this out to the full length. There we go. Now we can go ahead and move these last four into place here, and then realize that I think it's still... I don't think this path is a complete like 90-degree angle, so let's fix that real quick. Now that I have a little bit more, once you have a longer piece, you can kind of tell exactly how far off you are on either side. So that's better. Let's go ahead and slide this into place. We'll even slide it back a little bit more. As far as this actually goes all the way to the back. I think that'll work. And then we just kind of go through here and copy this all again. Now, I'm going to theme this right a little bit, but it's not going to be a whole lot just because, this is just kind of be one that they kind of not really throw. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. They don't really throw. I mean, they wouldn't just throw this ride down. However, it still wouldn't be like it wouldn't be the most popular ride in the park. So it wouldn't wouldn't be the most or the one they put the most time and effort into. Let's put it that way. All right, we probably do 3 boards and then do something like that, and then work our way back up to there. Probably will make this a 90-degree corner just because I think it'd be a little bit easier on me at least. And I realized that none of that was highlighted correctly, and that actually sucks. Duplicate it. Let's turn snapping back on so I can get the nice corner out of it. I'll put it on the outside of this corner here just so that number one, it still gets that little bit of that feel to it. But it should help line it up a little bit better this way too. So, all right, so we need this one and this one first. And we need to rotate them. And so there's that. Then we need these three. Or actually, these two. We can fix the rest of it here in just a moment. Guys, I hope you guys are doing good this week as well. It's a little bit different. I mean, these next couple of weeks are going to be kind of interesting to see how this is going to go. I really do, like, I do plan on doing all this more, you know, as much as I can. I'm still probably only doing the 2 streams, unfortunately, but yeah, I finally started my internship yesterday after I've been looking for a year now for an internship, and I finally found one. Which is great because hopefully at the end of the year I'll have my IT degree, and then I can go on to do other things in IT and maybe even keep streaming as well. Don't know yet, but we'll see. Let's see here. We can get this done. I might be able to cover up some of this with some pathing. Yeah, I think that might, or not pathing, some scenery. That might work out pretty well here. I think we can turn it after this one here. It doesn't matter which way I turn it either, so I'm just going to turn it this way. Line it up to there. Slide that over. And if I even put the next big one in, oh, that does have that is the big one on the end there. Never mind. Let's do this one. And kind of cover up that gate a little bit, because for some reason people don't like those gates. I mean, fair enough. Those aren't the most realistic gates in the world, but they still look pretty good. I have no problems with them. Let's do something like this, just so that we get the right, you know, spacing and everything. Let's see here, something like that. And then let's grab these pieces here. Alrighty, I think I can just turn them now. I'll run them along this side of the, it's kind of the side of the queue line here, and then I can end it somewhere along the other side of the fence here. Now we will need to go back through and kind of just pick a few random ones and can either lighten them up or darken them up just a little bit, just so it gives a little bit more of a just a little bit different color to them. See, these boards all wouldn't be the same color. You know, some of them would have faded more. Some may have been kind of okay. Some might have got some water splashed onto them, especially over on this area. And on the other side, very well could have been something like that. And you know, it's starting to wear. It's wearing them down a lot faster. So there is our fence around the Viking ship. It kind of makes it look kind of neat. It's a little bit different, you know, but I think it's just kind of something that they would do. All right, let's go ahead and just start randomly picking you know, wood pieces in here. You know, it doesn't matter which ones they are to me, because what we'll go through and do here, because I don't want to put as much weathering as I did in like the 80s section, because this section probably would have been, or this section is, you know, a little bit newer, you know, so it makes sense that that it's a little more maintained, even if the ride itself hasn't been refurbished since the 90s. It probably is still just fine. You know, it might look a little more faded or whatever, but that is okay. So I want to bring this up a little bit more. Kind of maybe even make it a little more, looks a little more washed out, maybe like, and a little lighter then. That'll work. And let's go back through and do it all over again. You know, because I was always afraid, or this is having you've heard me talk about in just different buildings and stuff like that. That you can't just have a huge wall the same color. That doesn't look great. And so this kind of does help. It does give a little bit more variety to your park a little bit. It can make it look a little bit, make it look a little more periodic, correct? If you're going for a certain time era, especially if you're building a modern park, but this ride was built in the 90s or whatever. Fair enough. Maybe this may be a little more gray, because as wood ages, it does gray quite a bit. Maybe something like even a little bit darker as well. Let's go back through one more time here, and we'll be a little more deliberate on picking the newer stuff. And if I happen to pick something else, that's okay. The other two colors as well. We want to make it just a third shade, so we'll have 4 different colors of brown on this one, which I think will pretty much give us what we're looking for in terms of kind of variety of stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Now I see there are 2 of the colors that look kind of similar to each other, but I think that looks pretty good. And I think that's what we're going to go for. You know what we could do to kind of help hide this one? Actually, highlight all this. Let's see here. Get rid of these on the end here. What is right in the middle? It looks like maybe the one down to this one. What I want to try to do is slide this over to here. Ooh, it's kind of right in the middle of a couple of them. And now let's move this actually out this way and get rid of that piece there. Now, if I slide this over now, trying to think how I want to do this. Maybe something like that, and then we can bring in like something like this over to here, and there we go. I think that kind of helps hide that stupid curve that I was fighting with. So I think that looks pretty good. It's not ideal. It's not like perfect idea, but it's an idea. We can always come back later if we want to come back and have another idea, and we want to do that. I think for now, though, I think this works out pretty well. At least for the front, it's really more of a facade and just a fence to keep people out. So nothing too fancy, and it does help hide some of those curbs or whatever you want to call them. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of theming inside the ride here. So I'm going to add them to this one. And this is just going to be generic theming. Barrels, crates, things like that. Nothing crazy. Let's see. I want to use the older ones here. So let's use these. Because this is supposed to be like a pirate ship, Viking ship, whatever you want to call it. So that kind of makes sense if we use some of the older ones like this. Let's put this, that's the larger ones. We'll put the smaller ones on top here. Like that. And then where's the ride operated booth at? It is, it's up there. I thought it was down on the floor. Never mind. I thought I could actually maybe make the operator's booth out of crates or whatever and make it look a little bit more like he's part of the scene. But I don't think that's going to work with where he's at least. We'll do something like that. Hold on, come on, game. There we go. We'll kind of... Well, this game, when it saves, it is not great. Don't get me wrong, important feature. We've had to use it before. But, there we go. I think that looks a little bit better. We use some barrels in here. Let's use some dynamite as well. because why not? Dynamite always makes things fun. There's that. Let's get some barrels in here so that we can get an idea of how we want to do this. Alright, get some wooden barrels. I mean, this is as basic can be. I mean, you can go to a movie prop store and get these or whatever, or you can just make them. They're not really that hard. If you have a couple good carpenters, probably knock this out in a couple of days. Speaking of movies, though, I didn't really explain what I was going to do. So we have these 5 rides over here we're kind of tentative on for right now. There was another idea that I had. Actually, I wanted to add a shooting ride, so something like Buzz Lightyear into the park. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I think we kind of a neat idea. And it's like, all right, I need to come up with an idea for like a story or something like that for it to kind of make sense. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, all right, so Disney's MGM, well, Disney's Hollywood Studios, it's still MGM to me, but, you know, Disney's Hollywood Studios is, you know, it came out in the 90s, or late, I'm trying to think, no, it was late 80s, it was 89, I believe, but it was still around then. And so I got the idea of, the story of the ride is going to be, you're in a 90s action movie, things like Terminator, or what was the other ones I thought of? Like Die Hard, something like that. You're in one of those movies, you're actually in a car, you're in a car chase, and you actually have to escape. And then it looks like you're going to be on a back lot of a movie studio. And so kind of the idea is that your car is not the most reliable car in the world, so you get stuck all the time, and you get caught, and you have to shoot your way out. It's kind of going to be the idea for the ride, and I think that's going to be a neat idea. It's going to take a lot of work because I've never done anything like that. I've never really even put down the ride itself. So I think it'd be kind of a neat ride to do, just to see what it's like, because I've never done one myself. So I think that might be our huge project. And we have 2 coasters already in this section, or we're going to have 2 coasters in this section. So it's going to be a neat thing to, you know, just something a little bit different. More something like a draw to the park. I think would be kind of neat as well. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I think this, you can kind of tell that I'm covering up something here. But if I, you know, add a couple crates maybe back here, and maybe some smaller crates in the very back here. Like, I don't want to make it too obvious I'm trying to cover something up, which, I mean, in all fairness, you guys know I am, but, you know, that, I think, kind of helps fill in that area a little bit more. It looks like there's a bunch of cargo there that you would be getting onto a ship with. Yeah, some rope. I think we need some rope on this ship. Like this bundle here. Add a few, let's see, align to surface. There we go. Add a couple of rope bundles around, because ships have ropes near them, I guess. I don't really, it's more of, I just want to put stuff down and make it look more nautical than anything else. Like, I don't even know if we can do something like this. I mean, we'd have to do something like that, but it's too short. We could do something like maybe that, and then duplicate this upwards. I don't like how that looks. Alright, never mind on that. Wondering though, could we do something with this? And by this, I mean, can I line that up to the surface there, rotate it up like so, and slide it down this way, and kind of make it look like it's part of the fence here. Kind of like that. I guess that's what these pieces are for, really. do something like that. I don't see why I couldn't. Let's try this. That looks a little bit better, I think. Not really sure, though. Let's slide that down to there. That looks pretty good. I'll just do it along this wall here. And like that. Alright, I think that works. You know, a little bit different. Add something to that wall. And so it's not just wood. That's kind of the idea. Let's see. I got a couple things on the Theme Maker's Toolkit beforehand. I think the airboat is pretty neat, but I think that's going to be used in the action shooting ride. I think that'd be kind of fun. Coaster test seat I got. I'm trying to think of what else. I swear there'd be something good for this area, and I don't remember exactly what it was. That's what well, I got this, which, you know what, might not be bad here. Hold on, let me, I think what we do is we put the sign for the ride here, and then we actually put the we actually do have an approximate wait time. I actually found one of these. I think it's by Idro, because Idro makes, I think, everything that's fantastic on there. And not to mention, I mean, yeah, it looks pretty cool, you know, approximate wait time, whatever, but if we add in the second part to this, there we go. I think that'll work. Yeah, there it is. We actually can slide the arrow in here, and then we can rotate it, and we'll make it about a 15-minute wait. How's that sound? Something like that. Perfect. I think that's hilarious, and you know, both my parents are actually watching this right now, and they love watching this, and you know, I'm glad they enjoy it, because I enjoy it as well. My mom says it should be her boat. It should be called Lisa's Revenge, which I think is hilarious. Or Blackbeard's Revenge. I think it's what my dad brought up. I don't know what to name it yet, so I'm gonna leave the sign area kind of blank for now. I think we'll just finish up the concrete really quick so we can get all the way down here with it. This almost kind of looks like, and maybe this is part of the idea, is that maybe there was a ride here originally. And I mean, that would be the reason why there's a concrete slab there. But they're like, yeah, we want to put in a different ride here, and they decided to put a Viking ship in, or, you know, a pirate. I think it's a more pirate ship than Viking. And they're like, okay, cool, whatever. And it's like, what do we do to kind of make it look more nautical? Well, we can paint the concrete blue, and that's what they did. That's kind of what the story sounds like to me, because that's something they would do. Like if there's a ride here, or even like a restaurant or something like that, there they would do just something like simple like that, just to make it, you know, just to, you know, retheme it, ride and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's hilarious. So we'll see how it goes. But I am tearing up the path here just a little bit. I want to redo part of this, just because it looks like there is quite a bit of drop off here. So I just want to level it out and make sure that we have a nice even path all the way down here. Problem is, I think that Q path is going to wreak havoc on us right this second. So let's back up the Q path just a little bit here. I'll say a little bit. I'm going to pretty much delete the Q path for right this second. And let's flatten this out. There we go. That looks a little bit better. And we'll re-add in the path here. Alright, that's not good. That's not good. let's delete that path too and kind of bring this up a little more. So it's got a little more of a curve to it than when it heads out towards the merger there. And let's go ahead. Let's get the path snapping back on, because if not, this will be an absolute nightmare. Ooh, that concerns me though, because now it won't let me build the path where I want to build it. I guess we could kind of S-curve it out here just a little bit. Ooh, that's not good. Can we bring it into the path here then? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Could we, if we started on this end, could we actually redo it and make it more like kind of the same level as the ground path here until it got to the ride itself? We might be able to sneak that through here. Maybe not. All right, let's redo all that. So essentially this is where this path will be going from now on. Alright, come on game. I know you're saving, but I need you to put this last Q path down. Like that's the only spot it wants to go. What in the world is it doing? There we go, that works. Alright, well, we'll have to kind of maybe cover this up a little bit as well, but, man, that's still got a little bit of a wave to it, and I don't like it. Is it really that big of a deal? Not really. We might be able to cover it up, too, so. Alright, well, there is kind of the pirate ship in its place. We do need to add a little bit more wall down here, so that people don't fall into the lake, which would be unfortunate, and probably has happened before, but you know, what are you going to do? Let's go ahead and slide this down just a little bit more. And we'll do one more so that we kind of have this whole concreted area in here. We might need to move this or turn this back out just a little bit so that we have a full... we have more of the wall here. I need to work on the terrain here just a tiny bit. So do a little bit of a push. Push that back. This is also one of the reasons I built this wall, is that since I'm terrible with terrain work, where kind of the lake met the shore here was going to look like absolute garbage. So I created the path there and or created the wall so that I didn't have to worry even if the terrain was not great, I could still have a good looking coastline there. Now I feel a little more comfortable with the terrain tool now, so I might be, I might actually have like a bare edge or two around the lake, but it'll be very well fenced off because, I mean, really this is not a lake you would go swimming in. Probably not anymore, at least. Nothing that there's wrong, or nothing's wrong with the lake, but with everything around it, you might just, kind of prefer to stay out of the water. This is not a water park after all. Hey, terrible joke, I know. I've gotten... One of the reasons I wasn't thinking about doing... I was thinking about not doing a stream today because I have not been sleeping very well the past couple of days. For what reason, I have no idea. I've had to get up early too, both to go to work and to do some other things as well. So, and unfortunately, I can't sleep in for the next 2 days since I have to do the same thing on... I have to go to work on Thursday, and I have to do the same thing I did today on Friday, just for my mom today. So it'll be a little bit different. So I'll maybe get some sleep by Saturday. But oh well. If not, it's still fine. But I think that's how we're going to do this path here. I might just have to bring the cargo area out here just to make it look like we're covering stuff up more again. But yeah, so far I think this looks really nice. It with the wall there, especially on this side, this looks really nice from this side. There we go. Looks a lot more like finished on this side than it does on the other side. And it's kind of like how the clean look of it all. It makes it look really nice. This side, not as well. Maybe from like this angle, it looks pretty nice. All right, so this area is going to be the signs. We're not going to, probably up to about here. I'm not going to worry about where did I put the cargo? Like what? No, I guess I didn't. Let's go over here. Let's edit this one. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just put some crates and barrels up. Kind of like how we would do any other one. Let's also look at the pirate animatronics and things like that to see if maybe there's something we could use from there. I believe it is, hold on, it is in scenery themes? Yes, pirate. Because why not? We can use some neat pirate effects and things like that. You know, hold on. Oh, well, that didn't work out. He's just sitting down. You know, it might be kind of neat to just to have some, just some very basic animatronics sitting out front here. You know what? Let's go ahead and put down a wooden barrel. Let's not position snap anymore. But a line to surface I'm okay with. We said we were going to make the sign about there. And I figured, you know, something kind of that would help draw people into this place would be something like a mechanical pirate. Or animatronic pirate, I should say. Or I have him sitting on a half barrel, because why not? Slide him back onto the barrel there. And there we go. It looks like maybe an actor or something like that, but no, it is animatronic. What else could we put in here? Just kind of make it look a little more, you know, pirate-y. Now that might be kind of cool to actually put around here. Kind of like along the fence here. That might be kind of neat. We might have to look into that. You know, what we could do is actually rotate this part around. Sink this in just a little bit. Onto like there. And slide this forward. Ooh, it's a little bit larger than I was hoping for. Could we maybe actually put it on this side? This might work. Yeah, that might actually look like it's part of a dock there. I think that works out pretty good. Why couldn't we put something like that there? Well, let's cover up the path a little bit. I don't want that to happen. We can do something like that, though. And then put some barrels and stuff like that behind it. That's a bin. I don't need the bin. Let's just put some barrels. You know what? I think that we're having issues with the line to surface because this thing is saying that there's something there when it's actually not. So let's do this. I'm just going to put some barrels back here to kind of help fill in this space here a little bit. Like that. You put one more here, and I'll put some smaller barrels around the place here. One right there looks pretty good. And there. And there. There we go. Now, it does stick in the path a little bit, but, you know, it's not too awful bad, and, you know, it kind of makes it a little more, you know, it adds a little bit to it, and I'm okay with that. I mean, we have a pretty wide path there anyways, so it's not like it's a huge deal. Although, can we do something like this along here? I think it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna clip through the fence there. There's some really neat scenery pieces like this. You know, we could put it there. That'll work. There's some really neat scenery pieces like this, but you know, they're so big sometimes that they don't really make much sense. I mean, and also, you know, to be fair, I know we said this wasn't going to be heavily themed. I mean, the animatronic might be a little much, but, you know, that also could just be, you know, somebody who works at the park, you know, doing stuff too. So it's not like it's you know, it's not like it's a big thing, or wouldn't be hard to, you know, figure out. You know what? I think I'm gonna move this cannon. I'm gonna delete the cannon and then put this up here. Make it kind of look like it's all part of one big cargo here. Kind of like that. I think that looks, well, Can we slide this, the burlap bag into one of the barrels so it doesn't stick out? I think we can rotate this a little bit more and kind of shove it back this way, maybe. That looks a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that eye is not gonna be driving me crazy the rest of the stream. Now I'm thinking it may not be the worst idea to actually put some of that fencing along here as well. The cargo itself kind of blocks this area off. We'll probably have to use some behind the sign here, but I'm okay with that. So let's grab a couple of these pieces of fence here. Grab 2 sets, and that should be plenty. Let's duplicate that and slide it on this way. Put that along here. And like that. We'll take this last piece off because I think that fits pretty well like that. So that gives it kind of an edge to the pirate area. Well, kind of the theming of the ride, I guess. And then we can make the rest of this just that bland concrete look. Which I believe is that one. Yeah, there it is. Kind of give it a nice separation from the blue and all that. So I think this is working out pretty well. It's like now I'm working on the name. That's kind of the other thing we got to think about. So what kind of sign? Let's go back in here. What kind of signs can we get? Because while I do want to custom name this ride, I don't know if a custom sign would be the most ideal because you know, this is taking up quite a bit of space. So, you know, quite a few parts already. And the more, you know, if we do a custom sign, it's just going to take up even more parts. So let's try to find a sign that'll work, and that we can kind of customize and upgrade a little bit to make it look like a very nice, like kind of more what I'm thinking kind of sign here. We have this one here. I don't really see any other sign like this. Alright, let's put this up because it's about the right size, to be honest with you. So we'll put it up there, and let's go check in buildings real quick and see if there's any more signs over here that we can customize. Sign. Let's see. I don't see any, like, well, it's more, yeah, it's more like a fairy tale one, but that might work in a pinch. Well, we do have something like that, but it's a little on the nose. I guess what we could do is, you know, just to add a little more pirate flair to it, we can do something like that. For right now, I'm just going to call it pirate ship until I decide on a name. And I will make the letter actually like more white. You can see it a little bit better. There we go. And then the outline, I'll just be in black for now until I figure out something. Alright, but now we actually have a sign here. We can at least work on some making the sign look a little bit better. So essentially what I want to do is I want to kind of maybe outline it with some different wood pieces here. Maybe do the beams, make it look a little bit thicker like this. And also, sink this into the ground a little bit. So I have plans on what to do with these little nubs there so that they don't stick out. Like that, and like that. We'll have to use some normal wood on the top there because I don't think I think the thick beam would not look great there. There we go. I think that'll look pretty good. We'll do one on the other side here. So you can kind of see what I mean by dressing up. Dressing up a sign like this, where you can kind of make a kind of in-game sign, make it look a little more custom and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. What I want to do on top, though, I want to put actually in some lanterns. Just kind of make sure the actual make sure the actual sign's pretty well lit, even at night. And I think there was these lanterns which I think look really nice. How big are the square lanterns? Those might even work a little bit better. Let's do that. Let's rotate this up like so. And we'll slide these down, because it doesn't say we have to use all the lantern like that. Slide that over just a little bit more. Yeah, I think that. What does the round one look like? Let's just kind of humor ourselves here. I'll be honest with you, I think I like that round one a little bit better than the square one. So let's do that. Yeah, I think that'll work. We also probably should add just a little bit of a. Let's add a little bit of just a. I don't know what you would call it, just like kind of a footer, I guess. To the bottom of the sign here. We'll slide that down here. You know, it might be kind of funny, and it just, just thinking, story-wise on how all this would go. It'd be kind of funny if, like, this was just a different, just a generic theme swinging ship, and then they added the pirate theme to it, and you have the old ride sign here, and then like they have it crossed out and have the new sign, a new ride name above it. It says like under new, or even like this ride under new management, and then have all the pirate stuff. That might be kind of funny. We might do something like that too. But I think this is actually working out pretty well so far. Now let's go ahead and let's duplicate these. Rotate this around like that. Slide that over to there. And there. And one more. I think that will do it for this side of the fence, or side of the sign here. There's that. I really do need to apply block, at least from here to here off, just so that people don't try to sneak through there. So let's do that. Now, unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to do a very plain, very on the bottom here, because we can't do the height variation with it or anything like that. Centennial Edge, I try to do that. I do that with quite a few things, but I find that if I can come up with a story behind a ride or something like that, number one, it helps with theming a lot of times and what kind of scenery to put around them. Just because you get the idea, it's like, okay, this is what they were thinking, so you kind of get in their heads a little bit. It's like, all right, what would you do here? What would you do here? And that's it's also kind of fun too if you're kind of story inclined like I am. Like I love I love stories like that. Like Disney's chock full of them, and that's where and that's where I got a lot of the ideas for this park. Is Disney's like, okay, come up with the story first, and if you go to pretty much any ride at Disney has some sort of backstory like that. One of the interesting ones was Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was like a runaway mine train, but I didn't know the whole story behind it. So apparently, they found, I can't remember I think it was gold in a certain town, whatever town that is, I don't remember. But essentially, they built a bunch of railroads to this town to bring all this gold out. Well, Native Americans there didn't like it, so they put a curse on the land, and eventually there was a huge earthquake. It knocked all the railroads kind of out of whack and everything like that. Destroyed most of the town, but no one was hurt in it. And after that, they pretty much abandoned the town and left. But people would hear rumors about this abandoned mine town, and they would go there to look at it. But because of the Indian curse, they actually, when they went back to this abandoned town, they found all these trains were going as fast as they could around the tracks around this town. And that's kind of the whole story of Big Thunder Mountain. And then the part you come in essentially as the guest is you now have the opportunity to ride one of these trains through the mountains, kind of on these crazy paths and things like that. So I didn't know that story until this past week, and I was reading it. I'm like, this is pretty crazy, and you don't think about that, but that's something they've incorporated into the ride so much that and if I was actually a video I was watching. They actually brought up examples of the ride. It's like, this is why, they have this town here, but it's, it's all kind of grown up, and this is why they have broken tracks and stuff like that around the place. So it was really interesting to listen to. And I think it was, if I'm mistaken, it was 25 or the top 5 worst roller coaster accidents in the world. And they were talking about Big Thunder Mountain, about there was a man who was killed on the ride in Disneyland. And but it was Simon Whistler. If you ever get a chance, I believe it's on his Business Blaze channel. If you look it up, it's it came out maybe 2 or 3 days ago. You can go and watch that video. It was a really interesting story on how he kind of told the history of the ride, and that was part of it. So, still pretty interesting. I will be honest there. Speaking of which, though, I think for right now this might be kind of the generic theming of the ride here. I think that's pretty much done. It only took us an hour and a half to do, but I think that pretty well has got it cemented in there. It's got we've covered up a lot of this stupid curbing and everything like that, especially from the front, and it's kind of hard to see it from you can see it from the sides there pretty well, which I might come back through and try to figure out another way to kind of redo this path a little bit, but that's always an interesting part about theme parks. You wonder how they get to a point, and then like Kings Island, where I was talking about the swinging coaster I built earlier, and one of the first ones was the Bat, and the Bat itself apparently was a great ride. I never got to ride it because it only operated for a year before it actually was closed down and torn down. So, but it was the first swinging coaster in America. It only lasted about a year. Kings Island was probably upset with it because it only lasted a year. They cost them $5 or $6 million, and the ride didn't work. And so one of my favorite rides at Kings Island was a ride called Vortex, and that's where the Bat used to be. And essentially Arrow came back to them and says, hey, look, we kind of made a mistake here, we'll build you a new ride. And they actually, at one point, the Vortex was the first coaster to go upside down 6 times. So that's pretty neat to have a ride like that. And I think at one point it was the tallest full circuit coaster in the world before it was beat by another coaster the next year, which also was designed by Arrow. But the Vortex was only torn down last year. Still one of my favorite rides, though. They also built another suspended coaster called, well, originally it was called Top Gun, moved to Flight Deck, and now it's actually called the Bat again, as kind of a homage to the original one. But it's amazing how, even with the lane that it's on right now, one of my favorite rides, a ride that I never got to ride, but it's like Infamous was there and then became the Vortex, which is one of my favorite rides, and now it got torn down, and now they're redeveloping it into another part of the park, and I'm interested to see how that goes now. So yeah, it happens quite a bit, especially in smaller theme parks. Like I would say smaller. Cedar Fair probably does it more often than Disney does, because Disney attraction becomes very beloved. It's ridden by millions of people, but but Disney still does it too. I mean, you can take a look at things like, even like the original Splash Mountain. People have argued that it's not there anymore, or they're actually, or will not be there when they redo the ride. This Princess Tiara's ride or whatever. Still not a big fan of it either, but fair enough. So I think for now we can kind of call our Viking or our pirate ship done for now. So I need to come up with a name for it, but I think, I think this all works. I'm annoyed about this path. That's the kind of the part there. I'm more annoyed about this than anything else, and I just don't know how to fix it right now. So I'm gonna kind of step away from that and kind of looking at it from afar and say it looks really good. Especially if you look like, hold on, let's get down here. And you get the pirate ship, like if you're walking along here, so you get the pirate ship, you get the animatronic and things like that, and you're walking along here, and then you come around this corner here, and you look back across the lake. That looks amazing. It baffled me what we've done so far. I'm right in there. Look at that. We can even walk up to the rail here because we own the park. Why not? You kind of just right like that. That looks amazing. Now you get a little bit cut off with the boardwalk because my head's there, but you got Splinter there, and you got Shockwave over here, and all the buildings and everything. This looks amazing. All right, enough admiring. Let's get back to work because that's how I am. So now, what do I want to do next? I mean, I was kind of debating whether I wanted to do the coaster today or whether I wanted to do the car ride today. Because I didn't think the pirate ship would take us all stream, and it didn't. I did open it up, correct? I did. Cool. So what do I do from here? Well, I could do the Vekoma Boomerang. That wouldn't take me too long. You know what? I think this is what we're going to do. Today we're going to actually lay out all the rides. So I want to lay out what rides we're going to put in here, including these flat rides. If we might add another one over here or not. I want to get the car ride path laid out, including the path going through the garden here. If we do that, I'm not 100% sure about that one yet, but still, and I want to get the Vekoma Boomerang built. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and work on this one first. I've actually thought of a name for this ride already. I've thought about calling it the Lake Monster, because it's going to be on the lake. Why? Not really sure. I just thought it would be a neat name. Let's see here. I'm going to edit the ride. Edit track. So essentially, if you don't know what a Vekoma Boomerang is, and you don't want to look it up, of course, a Vekoma Boomerang is a ride that it shuttles back and forth. It only has one station and one train. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh boy, that's not very steep at all. All right, hold on. Let me try to find the other one. There's a couple inverted coasters that you can use, and I don't think that's the right one. But essentially, you probably have seen one and never even known it. That might actually be what I'm looking for. It's called the Giant Inverted Boomerang. Yeah, that probably will work. This might have been what they built the original. There actually is one in the game. If you go into the game, I think it's, I can't remember what it's called. It's a crazy looking coaster, but I don't know what exactly it's called. Move this one a little bit farther away from the path here. So, but essentially, a Vekoma Boomerang is that. So you have one train here. This is going in reverse from here. All right, cool. Reverse horizontal cable pull. It already knows what I'm doing. Oh, amazing. Something like that. We wanted to go up. Oh boy. It's not quite. All right, maybe this is not quite what I was looking for. It's got the right idea, but it's not quite what I'm looking for yet. So let's look at that. It's going to be an inverted coaster. I did know that. Maybe this one. I'm going to double check and make sure. Or did I do this one? This might have been the one I'm thinking of. Or that might work. Because I think the other one was the one I already tried the first time. Alright, let's try this one. Let's raise it up off the ground just a little bit. Because I don't know why. I just like doing that. So, yeah, raising stations off the ground does make it look a little bit nicer, I think at least. Alright, first things first. I do want to increase the station length. I'll enter and exit from the right side. Is that how you want to do this? Or do we want to do an entry left, exit right? I might do something like that. How many rows we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that'll work. I think that looks a little bit better. Utilities, I want to do a chain lift. And notice, I'm doing this backwards. So essentially what the ride will do, is it not going to let me go up more than 20 degrees? Really? Yep, that's all it's going to let me do. Alright, well, this is not great. Let's see. I might have to go back to the other one here, utility. I don't see anything that would allow me to... Alright, well, we might have to go to that fantastic boomerang ride and try to figure this out. That one. Unless this will let me do it. So let's try this one. If it doesn't work, it will just go to that one again. But, man, this is kind of... I didn't know this would be an issue, I'll be honest with you. Let's add track back here. I wonder if it's just the chain itself is what's having issues. It very well could be. Alright, well, let's just demolish this, and we'll use the other one. And I'll show you kind of what a boomerang is then eventually. So, giant inverted boomerang, you know, not ideal. Now, they also do this with other types of rides, but the ones that I have seen, the boomerangs, the what they consider boomerangs, have always been inverted coasters. So... kind of makes sense. So let's do the base there and then turn up. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this. I know, kind of crazy. I'm going to actually reverse it so those parts actually are above the water. That makes a little more sense to me. Go. So we'll rotate it this way. So we're going to enter right and exit left this time, which is fine with me. Alright, so we got this in finally. Alright, so we do that and then do the cable lift up. And we'll make it, yeah, that'll work. On this end, I actually want, before I do anything else, oh, come on, I want the station itself. There we go. We're going to enter right, exit left. There we go. And we can add on to this part of the coaster here. Let's go ahead and we'll do just a normal straight track there. Go up to loops. Now this is, I want to do a half loop up. That is massive. See if we can shrink it down just a little bit here. That'll work. So essentially what this ride is that it goes forward and back on the same track. So it only can have one train at a time, so it does kind of stink. Rolls, maybe I think it might be under here where I'm looking for. Corkscrew exit, yeah, there we go. And then we'll do a corkscrew entrance, please. Train to the right, yes, that's what I want. And so you'll see a lot of these. Once I, some of you might even already know what this is. You've either been on one or something like that. but they're very, I mean, they're really common just because they're cheap to build, and they're pretty easy to build, and they don't take a lot of room up. Something like this, I mean, you can kind of see, so what will happen is when the ride starts, they'll lift them up this hill here, and then they'll drop them, and they'll go through this, I always called it a bat wing, that's what we always called it, and then I probably will do a second loop, probably a full loop to the left, just to take up as much space here as I can. And then level this back out here. And we'll go a couple more spaces, and then we need to do the horizontal lift, and then up. What is this? Oh, this is the top of the tower. So I didn't build the top of the tower on the other one. Probably need to do that. Alrighty, so it's a little taller than I'd like it to be. Because I think I messed up a little bit there. Hold on. Top tower, please. There we go. That looks better. I want to make them look even. So, and you can kind of see how this would work. I mean, what I was trying to do is use this and just have a normal chain lift out of here. Funny enough, Centennial Edge, you mentioned Goggle Lake. Well, then what this is actually called, I think this the ride itself in the game is called, hold on. No, that's Bashirka. There actually is one called Mine Eraser in the game, and I think it's an inverted coaster like this. There it is, well, it's called Mine Melt, which is, fair enough. Same idea. There's one at Kings Island where I used to work called Face Off, or now it's called Vertigo, which is very similar to this ride. There is, funny enough, also Goggle Lake had another one of my favorite rides that moved to Kings Island, and then was torn down with the vortex, which is kind of stinks. But all right, let's kind of give you an idea how this ride works. I'll let it run for you. You can see how it works out here. So you'll see here, gates have now dropped, and you'll see the ride will probably start backwards. Yeah. So it should start backwards. And I think it's kind of a neat, I wanted to have part of this ride over the lake like this. It's moving kind of slow, though. I don't know if it just stuttered there for a second or what. I don't know. But having the real slow chain lift over the water, and you're pretty much looking face down at the water when you're at the top, that's pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. Let's watch it go up, and we'll see how this goes. Make sure it works too. I mean, that's kind of the other big thing. If not, we'll have to increase how tall the towers are, which is okay if I have to. The coaster has dropped now. We'll go back through the station. No brakes on that station. And up. Oh boy. Yeah, that ain't going to work. All right, well. Let's go back to the drawing board here. And let's go ahead and delete this version, or this top part here. We'll go with we'll do 2 more. Yeah, that'll work. And then top the tower. Same with this side here. We'll do add 2 more sections onto there, and then build the top of the tower like so. There we go. And we'll retest the ride again, so it wouldn't be too awful bad here. Let's go ahead and test it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna probably call this the Lake Monster. The Lake Monster. There we go. We can actually do a custom sign for that, like we did Shockwave. I don't know what color. I think I'm going to do this in probably green and maybe like a dark yellow, maybe orange. Probably the 3 primary colors of it. I think it'll look really nice. Kind of speeding up through the chain hill here because no one wants to wait through a chain hill. Although, one of the harder parts is going to be trying to put a pretty good queue line on here, because I think we'll have to go out onto the lake first and bring it back in, because there's not a lot of room over here. But as you can see here, ride is going pretty smoothly now. It actually gets through the inversions and through the loop. Then comes out to this lift hill. As you can see here, and it'll slow down because of the chain hill, and then pull itself up. Now you're laying on your back, facing the sky, and it gets to the top tower and drop you back down. So that's pretty much what a boomerang ride is, or a boomerang coaster, I should say. They're very simple, pretty cheap. Now, unfortunately, they don't have the best throughput because there only is one train, but they still, I think, work out pretty well. So, and I think they don't hit the brakes here. So what they do is, this is what they usually do and everything like that. They'll actually use the last chain hill as a good braking zone, and so you actually see it come just slowly. You'll see it kind of go fast to the station, go up the hill, and then the chain lift won't be on, so it'll slow itself down as it goes up the hill. And as you get to a certain mile an hour, the chain hill will start again, and then slowly stop the train and then bring it back to the station. So yeah, that works out really well. I'm happy with that. I should be ready to open once we are there. But what I'm going to do right now, guys, I want to take just a quick break and use the restroom really quick. When I come back, though, we're gonna do the car ride real quick, and then we'll have kind of this area kind of mapped out. Then some of the flat rides we might need to kind of move around just a little bit, but we've got the 2 coasters in here. We've got the pirate ship kind of already built and in place, and we'll have the car ride in there. So yeah, guys, give me like about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll be right back. I am back. Told you it'd be a quick one because, you know, it's real quick. Let's get back into here. Alrighty, it's starting to actually shape up pretty well. I kind of like how this is framed. The pirate ship going there. We got both coasters now in. Let's go ahead and repaint it so it's the correct colors I want it to be. The correct color, we're going to make this a nice, like a dark green. And that is not the track. Well, if I call it, well, I guess that is track pieces, but I think I want to make that the dark yellow. Let's move it down just a little bit more. That works. What color is this? All right, that is the main piece. This is what I wanted to make green. That looks better. And then this color should also be that green. And then this, I don't know what this is. Oh, this is supports. Perfect. I want to make those the orange, but I think I want to make a little bit darker orange. Maybe more red-ish in there. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. I like it. All right, now let's look at the coaster cars themselves. What is this first color? Well, I almost shot it off the screen there. All right, what are we changing? Okay, so this is the main color. This probably should be that green, right? And then the dark blue, make it that brighter orange there, and then this can be that yellow. I think that'll work. Operator colors. Oh, this is the operator of the ride. Keep them the same. He looked pretty good. I think it was we named all of our ride operators that color. I might go back eventually and do it in Cedar Fair colors, which is it's his hat. I think they wear black hats. Generally, with ride operators, they don't wear hats. Usually, I don't know why, but they just don't. And then do it a little bit lighter, something like that. And then like tan shorts, and that's normal for people. I mean, I think most departments wear red at Cedar Fair, or red, wear tan shorts except for food service, I believe. Food service has a couple different colors you wear, but I think most of those are light or dark blue. So that makes sense. So I think that's going to be kind of our idea for our ride operators going forward, at least. But I think this looks pretty neat. I like the kind of the Loch Ness kind of idea to it. Kind of the Irish colors, the Irish flag colors a little bit. Kind of gives you a little bit different feeling to it. I like the ride, so I think that looks pretty good, and it gives it a little bit different color coaster. I don't think we have like a really green one, but with the red in the background, I really like it. All right, car ride time. So let's work on this car ride. I did just notice that I don't have game audio. Well, that's a bit of an issue. Well, I probably do have some game audio. It's just really low. You know what it is, though? I bet. Let me double check in game here. I think I accidentally, or I didn't accidentally. I turned this down. When I was working on something, and I was listening to music at the same time, essentially. So there we go. We got a little bit more game audio there for you, so you guys can hear for the rest of the game, you guys can hear it a little bit better. So let's go ahead and edit the car ride here. So essentially, what I found out, I got to figure out a name for this one as well. But essentially, I just want a nice, calm driving ride, something that the whole family can just jump in and have some fun. Nothing too crazy. I don't want to make Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, although a lot of people would like that ride. Although that ride is I don't think I ever rode it myself, but that ride is the story behind it is a little odd. If you ever go look it up, and I'm pretty sure this is what it is. The reason you're on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is because he's drunk, and he's actually drunk driving. And the reason people are telling him to stop and dive out of the way because he's driving on sidewalks, and people realize that he's drunk again. Apparently, this is not the first time it's happened, and then he dies at the end. It's that's the whole ride. It's all right, well, this is great for kids at a Disney park, I'm just saying. But people love the ride. Why? I'm not really sure. I've seen videos of it, and I've heard it's pretty funny. Or, is interesting. But, I don't know. We probably won't do anything like that. Because, if I'm not mistaken, right at the end of the ride, he goes into a train tunnel and gets hit by a train, head on. And it doesn't end well for him, and then he dies, and they're all right, this is, I don't know, it's just one of those things, all right, well, this is, that happened. So, honestly, Disney even comes up with some weird stories sometimes, so it's not just, so if you hear people talking about this weird stuff like that in their park, it's not really that weird. Early days of Disney, there was there was stuff like that. But I think they've calmed down a little bit more now. I want to tighten this corner up just a little bit more. Tighten it up quite a bit more here. Drop it from here. Not a huge drop, but I do want to have a little bit of a drop there. We can even put some banking on it, up to 5 degrees. It's not a whole lot, but So essentially, what I'm thinking here, hold on, let me back up to this part here. I want to actually have it turn and go across a bridge here. Something like that. So it'll be pretty simple. We'll go up 5 degrees here. Now if I can do this right, I want to make it look like an old wooden bridge. So that'd be kind of neat. So we'll do something like that. So we'll go up twice at 5 degrees. And the reason I'm saying all this out loud is that I'm going to do a parallel road next to it that you kind of can pass by and see other people as they're on the ride. And let's level this out. And we'll turn this way. Straighten it back out. Turn this way. We'll do a nice big loop like that. Bring it. We'll bring it straight here, so you really can't tell that you're kind of driving just in a big loop. I mean, you are driving in a big loop. Let's be honest here, but let's do something like I'm trying to aim for the where I want to start the bridge and on this side. So how hard can I turn it here? Ooh, just a bit off. All right, let's turn it just a little bit here then, and then we'll finish the turn here. I'm gonna have to make this turn at this side here just a bit tighter, just so that I can line it up a little bit better. And we'll turn it just a little bit more here. But I don't have a story for this ride. I've just kind of noticed that. Let me make this, I need a good story for this one too. Because, you know, all good rides have a story to them. Let's see here. There we go. Do something like that. Can we just turn it? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Can't make that any shorter. Alright, so let's cut it like that. Like that. We can start going up 5 degrees here. Ooh, hold on. We gotta make this a little more parallel to this. You know what? We're gonna have to. Well, let's not go too crazy with it. We'll straighten this back out like that. Let's see if I level it out here. What we're at height wise compared to the other one am I at? Not ideal. All right, let's go back here. Let's do the 5 degrees like we did before. And like that. And I messed up. And let's try this again. So up 5 degrees. Like, come on. Come on. There we go. Turn this out just a little bit more so it's a little bit close. Oh, for God's sakes. All right. One more time here. Up 5 degrees, please. Make this a little bit like that. And then we can straighten this back out here. Up one more time. We'll level this out. It's an uneven bridge. Let's just make it like that. That'll be fine. Can we even try to match this a little bit? I think it looks pretty good so far. Ooh, you go up just a tiny bit more. Alright, cool. That looks pretty good. Make a hard left-hand turn off the bridge. And we'll bring it out this way. Bring it out towards the path here, so if family members who didn't want to ride are sitting somewhere, they can take photos if they want to. 9. It gives a little more path interaction too, Always good for a ride like this, especially if a lot of family members are going to go on it and they can take photos of each other and things like that. So move this back just a little bit more. That looks better. Alright, so that looks pretty good, I think. Stop start. It's like I can what are we talking about here? Stop start traffic or stop start cars here. And we're going to bring this around like this, nice sweeping corner, and then we're going to turn it a little bit harder here. And can we auto-complete from here? We cannot. Alright, so let me do this, actually. I'm going to bring this station out a little bit more, because it seems like it's a little small. So we're going to enter and exit to the right here. Like that. And we can just kind of join it like that. There we go. So there is going to be our car ride. Now, this is going to be a lot more involved in the way of detailing, stuff like that, because of the fact that it's gonna need quite a bit, just like plants and stuff like that, and terrain work. However, I do want to make a little bit of an adjustment here, because I want to use as much of this land as I can in here. Because if we're gonna put the car right in here, let's be honest here. I don't have any other room for any other rides here. So let's make it the best car ride we can. So we'll bring this down here. We'll start turning it pretty hard, though. Let's turn it a little less hard. Something like that should work. Bring this back to straight here. And it's going to go like that, like that. Delete that section here, because I think I can do a little bit better job of that. And let's turn that in just a little bit. Ooh, that's not going to work. Alright, let's back it up just a little bit and turn it just a little bit less. Turn it, and that works out pretty well. I think that's a pretty good use of space, and we have plenty of room for a queue line here, because you know, this queue line won't be that long for this ride. Yeah, I even looked at, well, when I was at Kings Island and rode this ride, the queue line was like literally, you walked in here, you went back, forth, and maybe one more time, and then you walked and got onto the ride. That was it. And then the exit was just here. So you can kind of see this. These aren't going to be massive queue lines for this. I mean, you're not going to have massive lines for this one, but I do want to add a little bit more station to it, just so that we can have a few more cars in the ride itself. So there we go. There is that. We'll go ahead and try to connect it up with this. That works out pretty good. There we go. So this part, I think we'll just kind of have a nice, you know, kind of even section with the path there. I might even bring this up a little bit more on this part right here. So let's give it a try and see how it looks. You know what? Let's not. Let's actually let's select this whole section of track here. Let's bring it up like this. And then this, we need to smooth the height. And this, we need to smooth the height on. There we go. We can kind of make it a little bit more, you know, give a little bit higher points, and you can kind of see, get a nice little S-curve up here, a nice U-turn, and I think that'll work. Then we have, so essentially, kind of the idea is I want to have, maybe we could do, I have an idea. So, and this is a very historical one. I mean, antique cars make sense. The national parks were created with, I think, Teddy Roosevelt in the early 1900s. It'd be kind of cool if we could actually recreate some, like you're driving through an old national park with these antique cars. So you have, you know, come up through here and you got these really nice, really, you know, like I don't know, cliff sides, like mountain areas. Come across here, you got a nice big bridge that goes, you know, an old wooden bridge that goes across like a raging river. You can see maybe there's some wild animals over here, and you know, just stuff like that. And maybe there is a small ranger station you pass along, maybe even like over here on the side here. This is kind of built to some old vehicles and things like that you would take through, you know, touring through these old national parks, and that might be a neat idea for a ride. But I think this is going to be a good layout for this ride, so let's go ahead and place that. Let's go ahead and do the queue path for this one, because I don't think this will take too long to do. We're going to place the entrance there. We're going to place the exit just on the end, as far back as we can. And let's go ahead and build the queue, or not the queue path, the exit path here. I don't like widening it to 6. Let's make it 4 meters. I think that works pretty well. Why does it give me curbing, though? I have no idea. So let's back it up just a little bit, and let's... Yeah, there we go. It says it's thinking that this might be raised up a little bit, but I don't think it is. But whatever. We'll go with it. Now, I mean, we'll probably cover this up with anything, and we can always change it later, so it's not like it's a huge thing if we don't like what... we'll just use this nice couple... Oh, we can't use it there. We'll have to use something like... Yeah, let's see. We'll go back to this one. We'll go the stone slab route. No, you know what? Actually, I'm going to do this and turn it first before we drop it like that. And can we go one more? We cannot go one more, so we'll have to do something like this. And essentially, this is probably the whole queue line. That's all I think it needs. It doesn't know me that part's there, though. Let's fix this one. See if we can get that piece. Yeah, just wanted to square it up just a little bit. That looks a little bit nicer there. Let's see if we can fix this path here without causing too much chaos. There we go. So there is that part in. I think we can just go ahead and... Oh, well... That looks really odd, and why it's doing that, I'm not sure, because it goes up and then it drops back down. Why it's doing that, I'm not sure. Well, it did the curve again. All right, let's do this. Select grid. Wrong path here. Select grid. I want to do that. I want to do this and that. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better than what we had it at. So yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Now what we can do, we can actually make it look like... do we make this look like a barn or something like that? I don't know. Like you're driving the car out of the barn, you're going on a road trip. Kind of the idea, I guess. Oh, we can actually change it up a little bit. And we can also do... Hold on, what's sleigh ride? Oh, you can just have a Christmas ride. That's pretty cool. All right, then. I think we need to do the antique cars. I think that's kind of the best idea for that. No, I want a few more cars than just one. We'll do 12. That'll work. Yeah, that should work pretty fine. Let's see. Number of train speed. How fast can we get this? 15 miles an hour. We'll go at a nice 8 miles an hour. That sounds pretty good. And I think everything else, I'll keep it, you know what, paint-wise. So, track colors, what is this one? I don't see what that one does. What about this one? Okay, this is the side of the road. So let's make that like a dark gray. Which one's this one? Alright, that's the top of the road. We'll make that like a nice gray. And this blue here. What is this blue doing? I don't see anything that blue's doing. It was track sports. The yellow works there. I still don't know what this red does. I don't know. All right, well, that being said, then I think we'll we go with that for now. We can go ahead and open that one up. We can't because the ride has not been tested yet, so we can kind of see what we can do. Well, I don't think we can do that. Like we could just crank this up to 15 miles an hour and let the cars go crazy. More of a rally ride than driving Miss Daisy at that point, but also, if I'm not mistaken, these cars have rear steer too as well. Yeah, they do a little bit. Not as bad. You really can't tell too much because we don't have really too many real tight turns. But yeah, they do have some rear steer to them. Well, guys, so far this is shaping up to be a pretty good little section here. At least I think so. I think kind of the kiddie ride. I don't want to say kiddie ride. It's a really kind of a family ride in there. And then the two big coasters, and the swinging ship can be both a kid's ride and an adult ride. I mean, my mom's a huge fan of them, so I don't see why not. Hopefully, I'm hoping also opening some of these rides up will also help draw more people over here. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, but it's kind of the idea at least. So it's down 8 miles an hour there. Now, the more I think about this, the more I think we might need to move this ride. Because we don't have a lot of room here for queue lines, and it'd be expensive to build over the lake. So I think we're going to move this ride over to at least... tempted to put it there. Something like that, because I want to put a restaurant and like restrooms and things like that over here. I think that looks pretty good. And we have this area for the queue line and maybe some theming for the lake monster. I think that all looks up pretty well. Can we open up this ride yet? We cannot. The first car is coming just over the second part of the bridge. So, also realize something, that they're actually driving the wrong way. If you look at the bridge, if we're going to do a bridge like that, that means they're driving on the left-hand side of the road, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, I mean, it doesn't make any sense because we're, or at least for me, because I live in America, and we drive on the right. But who cares? It's a car ride. You're going to like it anyways. Let's go with that. I think that works. Wanted to fast forward enough to where people will start. Or to a point where I can actually open the ride up. There we go. Ride is now open. And it looks like we actually have a couple of guests walking through this part of the park, which is awesome to see. I feel like I got an earful of music. I don't know what that was. It's coming from the pirate ship, though. That is pretty neat. Alright, so we got this laid out. What else do we need to do, just kind of layout-wise? Well, let's actually move this a little closer to the path. Because, like that. I think that looks a little bit better. Just that we don't have any wasted room up here. Excuse me, my voice is going out. We only have about 45 minutes left, guys, so bear with me here. So I think the next thing we want to do is start working on maybe the lines for both the Phoenix and the Lake Monster. Thinking maybe here. So let's do the Lake Monster first. I think that's going to be the easier of the two. For a couple of reasons. But okay. Do that, and we'll do an exit. So the halfway point for this ride is about right in there. So we'll throw the exit right in here. Well, do we really tell it we're going to exit on that side? So like, can we exit out that side? I mean, what we could do is have them exit through here. Give them a different view of the ride. I mean, I guess we could do that. So the halfway point is roughly there. Let's do the exit first because yeah, you know, why not? We're just going to do a nice asphalt path here. Let's also do railings on elevated. There we go. Bring out one here and then bring it that way, and then something I've heard about, and I don't know how people do it, but let's say you want a little more gentler slope in here. I'm going to try to do this. Don't want it to snap. That's one of the issues. I don't want it to snap. But apparently you can actually just bring it up here. So I've got it pretty well lined up here. So I'm going to bring it up this way and just drop it a few degrees. Probably something like that. And then do the same. We're going to line this back up with this one. Bring it across here. And then bring it down just a few more degrees. As you can see, these do not attach anymore. Those will. So I'm okay with that. So we'll do something like this. We'll line them up. Like that. Control again and shift. Shift this up a little bit more here. Essentially, I'm just building a ramp with smaller degree increments than a normal path would have. And if I did this right, which, you know, results may vary. Let me go back. Also trying to save here, so it's not ideal. Let's try to connect these up real quick. So if you see here, the ramp is sloping quite, you know, downwards. It's not a whole lot, and that's kind of the idea. Is I don't want it to go down a whole lot. It's a little off kilter, but should work out okay. I'm gonna do something like this, and then shift, raise that up to about there. Control, hold the control and shift key. Shift will bring it back up to where it needs to be. And that's about there. I'm going to go ahead and drop it to about there. Do that. What more room do I have? I got plenty of room. I wanted to try this technique. I actually saw Masked Bandit doing this in a park he was building in. I think he was doing it for somebody else, but was doing this kind of idea of a nice slope towards the end here. While the last one didn't work out as well, so this one was not as good. It seems like this is actually a neat little technique to do if you want a nice and gentle slope. So there's that. I probably will do it something like there and like that. Like that. I'm going to have to redo this last one though because it went a little too far, but it's okay. Up a little bit more. Actually, can I do this and then just shift it up? Doesn't look like I can. So, alright, well, that's a bit of a bummer, but okay. Something like this. Scroll it down. And like, there we go. And then do something like this. It's a bit off. Hold on. I'd say this was the easiest process in the world to do. I just said it could be done. Still off to the left there a little bit. So we got this nice and gentle slope downward, and that's, you know, I think that's, you know, something I wanted to try this technique, which, you know, seems to work out pretty well. But I think that kind of works for this ride. It's kind of a nice gentle slope back down to the path here. And so if you look here, if we did that, and we're still quite a ways off, but it's gonna continue doing this. Now I probably won't do this for the queue for this path, or queue for this ride at least, just because you know, I think the queue itself can be a little steeper, but the exit, I mean, you gotta think this is probably the wheelchair exit as well. So you gotta remember, wheelchairs and scooters and stuff like that probably have to get up here as, you know, if someone like that were wanting to ride, they need to have a little bit gentler slope to get up, rather if you're going through the queue line. So. Oh, there we go. And let's do like that. We'll actually turn it here just a little bit. Go like there. And we can bring it into the path like that. Now, if you look here, you can actually really kind of see it. You can see the nice gentle slope upwards towards the ride itself. And I really like how that's turned out. So, yeah, that'll be our wheelchair entrance for this ride. And the other one I can kind of do just a normal queue line for. And I think that'll work out really well. And this one I'll do an asphalt path as well until we figure out what kind of queue we actually want. I think that's what we'll do for now. We'll do something like this, a normal sloping path. Nothing too crazy. And then I want to go ahead and start doing a grid like this. Oh boy. So, looks like this is not quite even. So let me go ahead and even this out just a little bit better. That looks pretty good. Cool. And we'll continue on with this queue path here. Let's go down again. And then I think we'll just kind of cattle pen it here. You know, that's, you know, something like this would probably have some cattle pens to it. Because probably when it first opened, it was probably pretty popular. I mean, most coasters are. So, now whether or not we'll have, you know, full cattle pens like this or not, I don't know. But, you know. Probably something like that, and then deselect the grid because I want to make this a little more organic after this. We get 15 degrees here. Gonna go out like this because I want to kind of bring it as close to the exit as I can before I bring it into the path here. Something like that. What also I guess I could do, and I think it'll look a little bit nicer this way. Let's bring it back to the end of. We'll continue with the grid. Yep, I'm on the wrong path. That's why it won't select. From there, and we'll continue on down this way. And then I think bring it from this side will make it look a little bit better. Deselect the grid there. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and select the grid and make one more piece. And then we'll continue from here. 15, 30, 45. That's not it. that looks a little bit better. And now we can use some of the more of this land for like restaurant or restrooms, you know, what have you. Whatever we need to put in here, we can. We might be able to even move that ride back over here. I don't know yet. We also might do some just fake cattle pens over here as well. Maybe even do one here and maybe one that goes this way. So essentially it would come in, you would do a cattle pen, kind of like this. You would do, and then when you get to here, you come out one, and then kind of, I'm trying to think how this would work. I don't know. It'd be, you'd have to do something like you come along here, kind of snake your way back through there, and then out, and then back in. Something like that, maybe. And then, I don't know, we'll do some fake cattle pens in here at least one, so that in and of itself we can have. Looks like a larger line than actually it probably is because, you know, it's an older ride. So, we have that coming on here. Do we have anybody getting off the gondola yet? So I was kind of hoping to see. I don't see really anybody getting off here yet, which kind of stinks. I was kind of, that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to open the rides up and kind of get the park going, so that people would try to come over here more often. All right, so we got one more pathing thing to do, and that is for Phoenix. So let's get the entrance placed and exit placed. I probably will also do the nice slope exit ramp on this one as well, for the same reason as I did it for Lake Monster, so that we have some sort of handicap accessible exit. And I think what I'll do, I'm thinking I might just bring it down this ramp here and exit it right about in here. That might work out the best. Yeah, I think that's how I want to do it. So let's go ahead and get to it. This is not the fastest way to build a path ever, I'll be honest with you. But it does work. So that's what I care more about. Let's see here. Bring this out, I'll hold shift and go down just a tiny bit here. Click. Well, that should be the same height. Let me just go down a little bit more. Click. Let's see how this looks right now. That's not going to connect. This is not starting out well. Alright, so it's a little bit zigzaggy, so let's try it again. Alright, so something like that. Let's pull it back just a little bit like that. We'll drop it down just a bit. And we'll bring that back into place here. Hold that. And hit shift. Bring it down just a little bit there. Click and there we go. We'll bring this one up now, and after this one we'll check and see how the path is going. Something like that. Let's try to join all these up here. Let's see here. Ooh, that's going to create a stairway. That's not going to work. If we did this, that last one's not going to work though. Well, it's not terrible so far, but let's see if we can get this a little bit better here. lower than that. Well, we're heading in the right direction at least. I think that one's off. So let's see how that looks. That looks a little bit better. It's still going down at least. Kind of in the right direction at least. Let's get that set down there. Sort of turning this towards the path a little bit as well. It's too low there. Something like that. Actually make that one a little bit taller than the last one was. That's not good. Alright, come on, game. Well, not ideal. It's better than what it would be. We'll just kind of bring it around this way, kind of connect it in somewhere. Don't tell me this is going to be the hardest part to do. It very well could be. All right, well, we're going to flatten the terrain a little bit. I think if we can just get a few more feet on this side, we'll be just fine here. Right. Get that out of the way here. Let's see if we can maybe make this a little bit better curve this way. Alright, well, here's the thing. I thought this would, be kind of nice. It's kind of, you can tell that I just kind of gave up about halfway through it. So let's just, let's continue on with this one, like maybe that. Drop this down just a little bit more here. And then we can, first of all, connect that one to that one, and then this one, and then, how does that look now? That goes back up. That does not work at all. Not as easy as I thought it would be. Alright, well. So you also got to remember, the terrain here also goes back up. So it's a little bit of optical illusion, I guess, sometimes. That shift that back up here. And let's go down like that. It's going to create a staircase, and I don't want a staircase. Alright, well, we can get rid of that one then. And this one, like, it'll work out just fine there. Alright, let's try to do at least one more step down. Because I think then, well, that didn't work out very well. If we do one more step down, I think then we can kind of connect it with the path there and be a little bit more on the downslope then. Although it looks like people are riding the car ride now. That's pretty neat to see. It's too far down. See how far up we are on this one. I can kind of see why people would do this off camera. Well, let's be honest here. That's better there, and then maybe one more actually. Maybe something like we can kind of get in the middle of these two. Something like that, maybe. And I think that would do pretty good. It's a little steep at the end there, but I think that exit ramp looks pretty good. Now the entrance ramp is going to be a little bit more difficult because it's. I had to build this on the side of a cliff almost, so putting it up in the air like this was all it wasn't really not really a style choice, but more of I had to do it, just so that I can get over these hills here. So let's do that. And do I want to do a staircase? That's maybe what I do is that do a staircase down. While you can still get up there via the wheelchair exit. Exit here. You exit with your enter via wheelchair there. That makes pretty good sense, I would think. Now this ride, it's kind of hard to tell. The one at Kings Island that I ride quite a bit. The problem with that ride, it's a great ride. It's called the Bat now, but it used to be called Flight Deck, and it used to be called Top Gun. Being a couple different names now. The problem is, it's like behind a bunch of stuff. It almost seems like it takes forever to walk back to it. So I never really know how long that queue really is because everybody's so spread out, and with social distancing and everything right now, it's a little even harder to pick. But oh come on, game, let me put. Oh, it's saving, not saving. That's why. But even then, it's really hard to tell how long that line really is. Cause I think they could have done a little bit better with the placement of it, just because of the station is literally at the. So if you've ever been to Kings Island, or if you ever know anything about Kings Island, you enter pretty much right by Banshee is pretty much where you enter that ride, the queue line at, and you pretty much have to walk back out to the parking lot, which is really an odd concept because the station's almost to the parking lot. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of an odd idea, but it's still a fun ride. It's worth the walk back there. I think for now we'll leave this queue line here. I might extend it out this way a little bit more. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and do it because I think there's gonna be more than there's gonna be quite a few people wanting to ride this ride. So I at least have a feeling. I could be wrong, but it is a coaster still. I mean, let's be honest here. People still enjoy coasters, even if some of the older ones or some of the ones that are not as exciting, maybe. But they still can be rather fun and popular. So we'll do something like that. We can go ahead and now open Phoenix. You see the confetti going off as the ride opens. Kind of see here. Do have a few more people coming down through here. Some riding the car rides, some getting stuck on it because there's not enough cars. Did we open up Loch Ness? Or not Loch Ness, the Lake Monster? I want to call it Loch Ness Monster, but we didn't open that one up. So yeah, we got that ride open now. These rides will continue to operate while we're going through here. But yeah, I think right there, guys, I think that's kind of where, layout-wise, I think we're good now, at least for this section of the park. I don't think this would be the entire, 90s section, or whatever you want to call it. But we got about 20 minutes left. I think I might end the stream here. Here's the reason. A lot of the projects we're going to start working on next are going to be kind of the bigger ones. I probably will start next on, I think how we're going to do it order-wise. We're going to do probably Loch Ness, Lake Monster first. So we'll do the station, we'll do the queues, we'll finish up the wall here. We'll figure out what we're going to do with the wall down here, and work on this next. Once we get this done, this might take a stream or two. I don't know how long, but we'll see. We'll move on then probably to the gondola station itself, because I do actually want to build a proper station for the second one over here, because the other one's actually really nice and I like how it looks and things like that. So we'll do that over here, and then we'll kind of work our way around this way, and the car ride will probably be the last thing we do. So we'll do Phoenix's station, its queue line. I want to put a service building over here, so restrooms, stuff like that. The restrooms actually might be underneath the station here. I just do things like that, and then I want to, then we'll do the car ride. I do want to do a little planter right here in the triangle here. I'll probably put another path here, just so that I won't do that right now, just so we kind of keep it even, and then things like that. And if we get more ideas for the pirate ship, we can always come back and edit those as well. Pretty simple to just kind of, if we get ideas, we can throw them in there as well. But I think this might be the first section I haven't really started, I've started completely on camera, which is kind of interesting because even the last one I kind of had a general idea and had some of the path laid out and everything. But for this one, totally going in on camera so you guys can see kind of the full process of how I think and building parks like this. So yeah, guys, I think for right now, I think that's where I'm going to end it, because also my throat is giving me fits. So I'm going to save the game here, and I'll do my little spiel, and then we'll call it a day. But I think, we're going to end a little early, but I think we got a lot done. We got, all the queue lines and all the rides are operating now. The pirate ship, admittedly, is actually pretty much ready to go. It's up where it's going to be. It's got a lot of the theming around it already and things like that. Yeah, I think right now, I think this is pretty cool. I can kind of tell I'm getting a little bit better at this game. Just kind of the coasters look pretty, look natural. They look like they belong there. The pathing's getting better, especially with these ramps and everything. I really like how these ramps have kind of turned out. Might redo this little section right here on Phoenix's exit, but still, it's pretty neat. Let me hop over to the main camera, guys. Guys, thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate you guys joining me. And I know it's a little bit of a different schedule. I usually, this will probably be the new schedule for at least the next little bit. Probably do at least Wednesday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to get me, I'm going to trip up every time and say that. I'm going to say Tuesdays, Thursday, and Friday. But no, it is Wednesday and Friday now from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday will probably be our Planet Coaster stream, so we'll continue working on this section of the park. Next week's probably going to be the Lake Monsters station and queue line. But Friday this week, we're going to do some iRacing. I've got my steering wheel. I've actually been working with it a little bit more. I've really been enjoying racing with it. I've actually been doing a lot better with it since last Friday. So, fingers crossed, we'll actually do pretty good on stream this coming Friday. So, guys, I hope you can join me for that. I know there's a couple people who already wanted to come stream with me. A couple of guys I raced with already. So that might be kind of cool. We might bring them in for a little bit. But yeah, guys, for now, if you guys are new here, I do appreciate that. The best way you guys can support me is just leaving a follow on Twitch. We're up to 37 right now. We just need 13 more people to leave a follow. We'll be up to that 50 follower goal that we're getting towards, and we're trying to get that before December 31st of this year. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys on Friday, so have a great Thursday. I know I'll try to have one as well. I'll see you guys on Friday for some iRacing. But until then, guys, I'll see you later.